Welcome to another episode of Chats with Chantla.
Welcome to another episode of Chats with Chantla. I am so excited for this conversation. I would like to welcome our guest tonight, Alexandra Piccolomini, and she's the owner of Napa Valley Bloom and Brew Company. Hi!
How are you? I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. And I know so many people have been anticipating this collaboration. I've seen people talk about it all week. There's a lot of people reacting to it. You have a great, audience and fan base on what you do. So I can't wait to learn more about what you're doing. But before we get started into the nitty gritty of the conversation of the collaboration, I just want you to introduce yourself because I just don't want to assume everybody knows who you are.
Yeah, so my name's Alexandra Piccolomini. I am the owner, part owner of Napa Valley Bloom and Brew Company. I did it, we started in August of last year, August 29th with my fiance. So we're a mobile cafe serving the Southwest PA specifically area. But we also travel to other places and we'll do anything from our day-to-day clientele at a location in Uniontown near the Lowe's, or we'll do like private events and stuff like that.
Wonderful. So she's right here in Fayette County. She's doing amazing work here. So many people know her. And if you haven't seen who she is, it's a beautiful, like a lot of people probably thought it was a food truck, but it's a coffee truck, but it has the beautiful aesthetics. Like when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, please don't let me hit somebody.
Yeah, we don't want that.
The beauty of it all. But Alex, like are you a native of the area? Is that why you put roots here and doing the coffee truck here?
Yeah, so I grew up here. So I lived here most of my life. I did move away and was closer to like the Pittsburgh area for a little bit of time. And I happened to move back. And then I guess I've always thought about, going elsewhere, and the mobile concept also allows for that option in the future. But my family's here, my grandparents are here. And as everyone gets older, you do care about then the little things in life, or the people that really matter.
Absolutely.
So it kind of kept me here.
Yeah. So if you're just now joining and you're trying to find like where this is broadcasting to, and you're like, somebody might be reaching out to you. So if you're watching, you already found it, but just make sure that they go to my LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook page and just go under Chantla Israel. They are public pages. Actually, my YouTube is Chats with Chantla, so you can find that, but I just want to make sure you can view it live and put a comment right in. So I asked you to engage with the conversation that we're having here with Alex. So if you do have a question for her, put it in the comment section and I'll bring it up on the screen. But we're going to get this conversation started. And again, thank you so much for joining us this night tonight. But Alex, what inspired you to start a coffee truck business?
Oh, that's a loaded question. It's kind of consists of a lot of things in my life. We kind of look back on our lives and we're like, it makes sense now why things happen, or the choices we chose. And you kind of have to look to it as like a grateful position and a blessing. But, I have always dreamt about having a cafe, somewhere people can kind of come and sit down, and it can be this community thing. And, but growing up, my parents and my grandparents, most of them have been entrepreneurs or had brick and mortars. So the reality side of, the somewhat not fun side of things, I was definitely used to or experienced in a sense. So that kind of created a little hesitation, I would say, that I didn't jump fully right into this business wanting to do that. I didn't put it in my business plan for the beginning stages. And then even like looking back on all the jobs that I chose over the years, I feel like there happened to be a pattern that I kind of chose the service industry, whether it was a chiropractic office or waitressing, or I built custom furniture for people and families and companies for a while. So I kind of just then ended up seeing myself always in that industry. So I guess between the entrepreneurial side, kind of in my genes that I grew up around, and then the spirit of choosing to serve others or getting that gratification. Kind of, I guess, started the business model in a sense. But then I kind of liked the idea of being in events, and the people's lives matter, like weddings, baby showers, graduation parties, things like that. And the mobile business plan kind of allows you to do both.
Absolutely. And what I heard, like, from all of it, that's why I put it on the screen, is like, you've always been a servant at heart. Like, you've always wanted to serve people, and you gravitated and attracted those type of fields for yourself. And I think you do a beautiful job at what you do. And I think that's what has people coming back to you on a daily basis, because
Thank you.
they could easily go to like a building or a competitor and, get this and have that type of, have a cup of coffee, but what they're getting from you is an experience. And I think that's what makes it so different, is it is an experience. It's not just getting a cup of coffee. It's more intimate. It's supporting a local business. And it's somebody like that, it's not somebody that you're going to their job and you see them, it's actually you're supporting a business that your loved one or friend or childhood friend grew up and now they're actually doing. So you're making a great investment in, a small business owner's dream versus corporations, dream that they have tons of franchises somewhere. So you are a pillar in the community. So I really appreciate you doing that. Absolutely. Because we make change and we make impact, whether small or big, and we all do it in different ways. We don't all do it the same way. And thank goodness that we don't do it the same way, because there has to be some diversity to be able to support the different diverse personalities and needs of a community. So I think that, a coffee truck I love the fact that it's mobile. And somebody you can come to them versus if I wanted a specific cup of coffee, I have to have a vehicle or I have to make arrangements to be able to get there. So that's one thing I think that what you have that's beautiful, to bring the experience to the actual person. So kudos to you. Again, if you have any questions for Alex, please put it in the comment and I'll bring that up on the screen and ask on your behalf. But we'll just keep this conversation going. And I know a lot of people probably want to know, because I wanted to know, how do you source your coffee beans and other ingredients? Because she's more than just coffee. So we're going to learn about that now.
Yeah, so that when it came down to like looking at what was going to be on our menu, that was very important to me, because we do tend to strive, even in our personal lives, I try to choose the cleaner version per se. But, it then also became a thing like, these products are way more convenient to get. So sometimes some of the products we have, I go back and forth like, I really gotta focus on ordering that way ahead of time, because it's gonna take way longer to get. But I really look for the cleaner brand option, even if it's harder to get, whether it's shipped or picked up locally or whatever. But, dyes and chemicals and added sugars are in so many of our products today, and it's so hard. Things are labeled even as terms we don't use or we're not aware of. So that even became then studying an ingredient list. I didn't really plan, when you're dreaming your business, you don't really think about all that kind of stuff. Like, I got to read these terms that I can't even pronounce. But so then we even looked into fair trade and organic, things that are stamped as those labels. Yeah, you have to be a little bit of trusting with whether whether that's honest or not. But by going the option, we're kind of searching for a better quality taste rather than just what's convenient to get. And my fiance, Tyler, he loves black coffee. So it was really important to him to be able to give, a plain coffee, no sugar, no milk option for the people that serves their taste buds. Because a lot of products do just get filled with creamers and sugars, and it kind of masks then the coffee bean itself. So you don't really know what you're tasting. But, then there's the whole convenient business model, right? Like fast food places give, they tend to look for products that get out the second drive-through window the fastest.
Right.
But unfortunately, that's going to be then frozen items or items that are filled with preservatives more frequently. So we were just like, what items can we give that instead of feeling like sluggish or tired or fatigue after you go to a convenient spot on your way to work or school dances or whatever on the go, we were like, let's be that option, but a little healthier. We kind of want to be the pick me up and you left feeling like energized. Then
Yeah.
I mean, and fast food has its place, right? We're always in a convenient rush that sometimes it's needed, but we wanted to be a little different, that you're not feeling kind of the effects of those long list of ingredients in our products.
Absolutely. I love the fact that you study the ingredients and then you actually look for great quality products and ingredients and things. So because you're aware of the dyes, you're aware of all these other things. But you did say a term that some of our audience may not know, and that is, what is fair trade? Could you give your definition of what fair trade is so that those who are watching have an understanding?
Yeah, so how I understand it, there's coffee doesn't grow in Pennsylvania. So you're going to be outsourcing the coffee bean, the fruit elsewhere. And most of the time it's in other countries like South America or Africa or in hotter climates and stuff. And there are some places that produce the fruit in their country, but it's really optimizing these farmers to get the most value from their crop. So a lot of places will come in and try to undercut them and pay them as minimal as possible. And they're not really educated from the standpoint of what they can really negotiate back and forth with. So fair trade is really that the source or the buyer is really trying to give the correct value to the farmer or the producer of the product, a good value.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. So I also wanted to ask, what sets your coffee truck apart from other coffee vendors in the area?
So really, I feel like it's the essence of our mission and like who we wanted to be when we're planning the business. My Nana, she had this way of kind of making life pause when you were in her presence. And she did it so frequently and just effortlessly. She would just dance around the kitchen, grabbing everything she could, and you never knew what she was going to make. But at the end of it, more people showed up and more people showed up. And this huge 10-foot table was filled with food that we didn't even have like a place setting. We're like, oh, like where are we going to eat? But she was just able to create this vibe that you just weren't really used to. And a lot of people knew her for that. And she made everyone feel welcomed, even if you weren't family, or even if you didn't really get an invite, you were just with someone and you showed up. So we wanted to kind of create that at our place at Nipa Valley. So no matter where we're parked, you're less of a number. You feel more like we know you. And so Tyler, he's really known for like, he remembers people's drinks. And we have a therapy side to the truck. Like one of our windows, everyone refers to as the therapy window. And so it becomes this place that you can kind of get your coffee. You can go back to a time where coffee was, you were supposed to enjoy, you were supposed to sit down, you were supposed to enjoy it with friends. So even though we're mobile and we don't have all these seats to be accompanied, it can kind of be still a place that you're like, oh, I'm looking forward to going to get my coffee today.
What it makes me think of is people possibly like getting their coffee, especially in warmer weather, maybe hanging out in the location you're at, going back to their car, or just how it's because again, it's convenient, but it's not convenient with a rush, like how fast food and other places are. It's not a drive-through that's trying to get out in a certain period of time so they can get scored, so they can get bonuses, so they can get all these other things that really push for that to happen. But you did say somebody, and it was your Nina, I think that's how you said.
My Nana.
Nana. And so I want to learn a little bit more about your Nana. And like, is she an inspiration behind anything of why? I mean, you kind of gave us a little bit, but like, what is the story behind the name? Where did it come from? And then how did she like give you that influence to take the step to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so her maiden name was Nipa, and she was kind of known. I actually had a guest stop the other day that must have went to school with her and her sisters, and so they lived right next to Albert Gallatin School,
Okay.
and they just started kind of serving students before and during school in their kind of like parlor sunroom. And then they just kind of became known for that. It was like the place to go. And one of my guests that stopped, we were talking about it, and he's like, I'll never forget, like they yelled over the loudspeaker, like, you're not allowed to go to Nipa's at lunch today. But it was the place people wanted to be. And they provided this place for kids, a safe place to go to, but enjoy good food or drink, like whatever they served. So, and then all throughout her life, like every business that a family member did or her husband did, my pap, like she did the books, and she was just the essence, this backbone, you know, like always having a meal, always getting everything done. And she had other businesses throughout her life too. But, you know, growing up around her, watching her around the kitchen, and I just became a foodie in my life, that we would watch cooking shows together.
Wow.
So me and her had this bond over food. She would even keep like a nutmeg in her, she had like this denim dress she would cook in, and she'd keep it in there. And I thought it was like you would have thought it was a truffle. She like praised it, that it was like this thing that she couldn't share. And you like kind of sneak it into some dishes and stuff. And so she was just this cool lady. But I've also like been influenced by a lot of women that came before me.
Okay.
And so even though it really honors her name, our business though represents all the women that came before me, including my mom, and she's our baker. So everyone knows her as Dar Sizzle, but as her like code name. So now I just gave it away, but we just wanted to create a place that really honored, you know, I feel like too, women do so much behind the scenes in businesses, and it's no shade to any men, because men work really hard, and there doesn't have to be this differentiation of, you know, a certain gender deserves so much credit. It can just be, hey, in this moment, the women in my life served the food mostly, and I'm just paying tribute to them creating these great moments that no matter who you were, or what gender you were, or what age you were, or what background you came from, you were all welcomed around the table. And when you come up to our trailer, I want that to be embodied and kind of expressed to people.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
I just think that it's such a beautiful story, and how you pay homage to your grandmother, to your mother, and other women. And I love that, you know, you say you're a foodie because of the experience, you know, growing up in that house around the table and seeing people enjoy your grandmother's food and your maybe aunts and your mom's food as well. Yeah. And I just think it makes me want to ask you a question before I forget about in regards to like the food. What part of the areas of the world do you get like some of the greatest influence for things that you serve?
So definitely Italy. But I'm like, as a foodie, I love all cuisines. So like, I really struggle with tacos, and I love good pad thai. So if you have any recommendations I'm always searching for a great pad thai. So yeah, I guess there's not necessarily one place. I definitely have to give the credit to Italian food, just because that's a lot of my heritage. But hey, good food's good food. So I'll eat anything really.
Absolutely. And I just asked that because you know, have different ingredients that you look at. And also when you're creating menus, like you're really intentional about serving, you know, your customers and making sure that they feel represented, even to the point where you've even honored some of your customers with them having like a menu item named after them, So I think that that's great. And that's also, who wouldn't want to come and get a coffee and be able to go back to the office or go home or whatever and say, this is after me, or this is after my business.
Yeah.
So I love that connection that you make, because it, once again, makes it intimate, and then it changes it from just going and getting, like a quick grab a cup of coffee versus it being an experience. And a lot of times people want the experience over the convenience.
For sure. I definitely do.
Me too. I definitely want the experience over the convenience. And I believe that that's what you do. So I just want, if you're just now joining in, I have the amazing Alexandra Piccolomini, and she's the owner of Nipa's Valley Bloom and Brew Company. And we're talking about the coffee truck, but so much more. We're talking about her heritage. We're talking about how she got started, the influences, where she is presently, and then where she's going to go in the future. So if you have any comments that or questions you want to ask, put in the comment section, and I'll make sure to bring it up on the screen. And before I move any further, you do have someone that is a fan who's watching, and her name is Lisa, and she said she loves this place. So I think that it's excellent. And by the way, that's Jordan's mom, Jordan Pratt's mom. Yeah. And so it's such an honor to have you watching, Lisa. Thank you so much. And if you have an additional
Thanks for showing up.
Yes, absolutely. Make sure you put it in the comment section and we'll bring it up. But I want to continue this amazing conversation, because you talked about so many things that have got you to the point of what you're doing. But I know a lot of times we assume what happens in a mobile business or a food truck, a coffee truck, and because some of TV gives us an idea, but walk us through a typical day of what it is like operating your coffee truck.
Yeah, my fiance and I joke a lot, like, what are we doing today? Oh, we're slinging drinks for the day. But there's so much more to that. And I think too, like when we were like writing the business plan and going through all the motions, like at the beginning, we didn't really quite picture or know exactly of the day-to-day. And it starts, from the early morning of like brewing the coffee and taking care of any like food items or food prep. We also have to travel to our locations. So, a typical coffee shop, there can be stuff set on the counter and left on the counter, closed and airtight and things like that. But ours also has to be stored somewhere. They can't just stay on the counter. And so that takes a lot of coordination when you're designing your mobile to take those considerations. But, then when we travel and then we do the mobile setup, so we're creating then our prep stations. We're sanitizing again. We're laying everything out for our prep stations. And then, we're serving our guests, but we're doing never-ending cleaning. I feel like the mess of the beans or matcha powder, I feel like all those little things can go flying real quick, especially when you're out in the elements. And then, we have the tear down. We have inventory checks. That's one thing I never really thought of, how many inventory checks you have to go throughout the day. Because when you're in a brick and mortar, you usually have your one place of your back stock and you have your front of the house. Whereas this, we have like our mobile, we have our storage, and then we also have like our back stock area. And then we also have to update like our POS system and stuff as well. So that took a lot more that I wasn't expecting in the first place. But then, there's the restock of food, beverages, water tanks, fuel, things like that. And then I typically end the day with social media, maybe planning some posts for future. I'm also like answering guest requests. I'm trying to make it to there by the end of the night, or at least planning out what I'm going to say so I can send it in the morning, because I do hate bothering people late at night, but that's just the time when I have to do it. But yes, that's pretty much, I guess, the day to day.
And what I appreciate is that when you talked about like, in like a lot of the places that we go to, they have a front of the house and then the back of the house, but you can go back in the fridge and grab something, or you can go and get something extra. When you're mobile, if you don't have it, you're out, it's out. Like, so there's times if you're watching, if you would ever go and you wanted something and it's not there, you have to understand it's not like she can leave and go and grab it. So she prepares to the best of her knowledge based on demand and has it. So it's not like she's going in the back of the truck, with a refrigerator or freezer, or, an area where there's other coffee brewing. So I think we just have to take that in under like accountability, that that's what makes it a difference between convenience and an experience. And also understanding that this is mobile. So when you're mobile, you normally have everything that you need you think you're going to need. So that's a big difference versus like just being able to go in the stock room and get, whatever you need right out and replenish it. So I think a lot of times we take that for granted and we don't realize that, they're operating, they're serving, they're restocking. So you are wearing so many hats. And you're the cashier, you're the server, you're the stock person, you're, doing blending drinks, you're creating dishes. So there's a lot that you and Tyler are doing in that day, in that time frame that, a lot of other entrepreneurs just don't have the same challenges as. So we appreciate you being able to balance that all out. And it's
trying.
And you're doing it successfully at the point where you're at. And the more you do it, the better you become with it. But it also is a great segue into the next question. And my next question is like, how do you handle fluctuation in customer demand throughout the day because it's mobile?
Yeah, so we really look at numbers, and in my background, I've looked a lot into reports for companies and the owners and stuff. So I job cost. So that's kind of my mindset going into this business was, okay, let me really rely on my analytics and my reports that I can pull from my POS system to kind of dictate, okay, what days are slower? What time of days are slower? Or what time do I tend to get a rush? Or so that kind of helps. And then, I've really noticed opening MIPA that as humans, we kind of migrate together and we don't even know it. Like we get a lot of fluctuations throughout the day that, we get a ton of people at once. And if they all come at once, the person in the back of the line is waiting the longest, right? But they might think, oh, it's supposed to be the convenient option, so there should be no wait at all. So it's just trying to like manage that, express to people, hey, we're crafting each drink. We're going to take a little longer than, say, a fast food place. But I feel like most people give patience when they're coming and they're knowing they're coming for the experience versus just an everyday product that they can get anywhere. It helps a little. And then, I would say efficiency. Like I'm really trying, if I do get a break, we're cleaning or we're reorganizing or we're looking at our stock stuff. Hey, we've already went out of this, and this syrup today. We got to add it on our restock list for tonight, that sort of thing. So we try to take advantage of those times to deal with that, with fluctuation, because you never really know. Whereas at events, we might just be busy the whole time frame.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that. I also wanted to share the comment that someone had about your typical day and operating the coffee truck. And she said, and thank you so much, Tamara, for watching. But she said, thanks. That's so true. And something that she never thought about as a customer. And she said, you sharing that just shifted her perspective and also the grace that she gives now. Because it is like most people don't know, because what we see.
We've just never been in the position to understand, right?
Exactly. And then what we see on TV is pure entertainment. It's not real life. They don't show you as often as like spills or, something walking on the floor and now you're completely out of it. Or, why does it taste different this time than last time? Because it's handcrafted. Like you said, it's, it's all these different things. It's not like this. It is a recipe, but it's not like the recipe that you're getting out of fast food or like a takeout spot or like a drive-through. Normally their stuff is already pre-made. So they're just adding taste to it. So my hand may be a little bit heavier today or lighter, it's all fluctuates and things like that. Yes. But again, if you did not have this conversation and this collaboration with me, we wouldn't know. And we would be complaining or, saying something and not having the proper knowledge. And I just love that, you're sharing with us things like that. And it really helps. But Hope, thank you so much for joining again this week, Hope. She said, yes, she said, I have never had your coffee, but she said, is there a Facebook page that she can follow and where you can be located on different days? And Hope, that is a wonderful question. and we're definitely going to get there. But you can share, Alex, if you would like, and then we'll just repeat it a little bit later in the show.
Yeah, so on Facebook, you can just type our name in, Napa Valley Bloom and Brew Company, and you can push follow and like. You can also, there's an option to favorite your favorite business pages. That way it'll kind of help come up on your news feeds. But we're also mostly at the Lowe's in Uniontown. But yeah, if you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you can then, we post our schedules that you can kind of follow with week by week to see where we are.
Thank you, Hope, so much for that question.
Yes, thanks.
Other people are probably wondering that as well.
Yeah.
But also, if you have a business or an event that is coming up, this is a great option. It's like a one-of-a-kind experience that I think is going to set your event apart, because it's not just having like, you know, a lot of events lately, and not to shout like this franchise out, but like everyone loves when they see Chick-fil-A at an event. I'm like, okay, but you get that. You can go and get that, you know. But this type of experience is different. And I just think if you're thinking of setting your event apart or making a memory, think about investing.
Reach out.
Napa Valley, you know, why not? And you're getting handcrafted drinks, and healthy ingredients, beautiful options, and the aesthetic of everything is absolutely stunning. So make sure you check out the Facebook and Instagram page to see what I'm raving about, because I think it will give you a better idea of why I'm such a huge fan as well. And it's just not coffee. There's tea, there's smoothies, there's other things like that. So if you're not a coffee drinker, there are other options. So I just don't want to, we talk about the coffee truck, but there are multiple options, and I don't want to ignore that. So Hope said she can't wait to check it out. Thank you.
We'd love to have you stop by, Hope. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. So I'm going to get back into this conversation, and a lot of you, thank you so much for engaging and asking different questions. And I kind of like want to know, because I know a lot of people think about, and you said about, you know, social media, but what are your marketing strategies that you have, and what's been most effective in attracting people or customers to your truck?
Yeah, so I would say social media is, very important, especially in just how the world is changing. But, you know, I believe that, I don't know, I'm not a big social media person. Everyone calls me an old soul. So that was like probably the hardest thing to get on board with. Like, I got to post and I got to put myself out there, and I got to take pictures all the time. And I'm not a person that takes pictures. I forget to take pictures all the time. Like, I'm literally everywhere I'm going, I'm like, remind me to take a picture. Cause I love being in the moment. And not that taking photos isn't in the moment. You really do capture the moment to look back on it. But I just I cannot think about it in the moment. But I feel like you can get easily caught up in with the analytics side of social media, how many likes, how many shares. And really there's this behind the scenes that I would really encourage business owners not to focus on those numbers. There's so many things going on in the background that we can't see. You know, if someone's privacy settings are set on like friends or like private, you know, you might tag a business owner, but they'll never see it. So people and referring us has been such a blessing that we're so appreciative of on our community. And that's why we love each one of our guests, because, you know, you can compare your numbers to other people, but in the end of the day, it's not realistic, right? So they might be doing all kinds of strategies and stuff that you might not even be aware of or know how to do, or these algorithms change constantly. So like we looked at, you know, in a few short months, we grew to over 2.7 thousand followers. And that was really organic. Like, we didn't pay for an ad. Like, that was all of our people showing up for us, supporting us. And we are just so appreciative of them. So really just take the time to get to know your audience. I would recommend to business owners. And then the social media kind of does itself, because there's this background going on that I would encourage not to focus on the analytical side of Facebook or Instagram. It has its importance in some measure, but in others, you could kind of be missing out on other opportunities to really grow yourself. Right. And then my other thing would be, you know, look and get to know your customer, right? So we love entrepreneurs. We support entrepreneurs. You know, when you spend at local places, the cash stays local.
Right.
So we really honor and really take the time to get to know our entrepreneurs that come to us, because they're also the ones taking coffee back to their offices, taking coffee to their employees, stopping and getting their, you know, we'll have construction crews that stop and get all of their, you know, crewmen coffees and beverages and stuff. And like, we're a part of their day then, right? So it does become more than just coffee. It's that pick me up. It's that sending people off on like a good vibe and good energy to kind of tackle the rest of the day. And social media will capture that if you're, though, presently trying to put good energy out there.
Absolutely. And I love that. Sorry about the voice, because it sounds like it's gargly. I apologize for that. But the other thing that I think is what I love what you do is you can't control the algorithms. You can't control how people's settings are. So it's going to fluctuate, you know, in regards to making it look like maybe I should strategize this way. But in all, there are things and components and factors that you cannot control. So word of mouth and coming in supporting local businesses is how it grows. And word of mouth will always, in my opinion, outbeat anything that comes on social media, because you may never, because there are mom and pop stores and restaurants that don't even use social media. You go back there all the time. It's because people have talked about it. It's been in your family for generations. And, you know, your grandma went there, your mom went there, and now you're going there. So they've had customers through generations. And I think that will never, social media will never take that away. You know? And I think that's super duper important, because people are going to talk about the positive experience and they're going to talk about the negative, but we want more of the positives. And then they're going to be like, this is how you can find them, or they're going to bring you a cup of coffee or a tea or so I think that I love the strategy that you use. I love that you incorporate technology, but you don't fully rely on it. Like you said, you're an old soul. So
thank you. And even to your point of like, you know, getting things for other people, that's, you know, our life gets so busy that we're constantly trying to get the next task done or be at the next appointment that we kind of forget how to slow down. Even I feel like I don't know how that became such a hard task to do, but it does. So thinking about, how can I get someone else another cup of coffee or flowers, you know, then you're kind of centered around community.
Absolutely. And community matters. It really does. And doing the small little gestures really matter to people, because a lot of times you're thinking you have to do this grand gesture to be recognized or appreciated. A cup of coffee or some tea or, you know, a pastry is always I don't want to use always, but it's really going to brighten someone's day, because it means that you took the time out to think about them. And then you're giving them an experience from a local vendor, a local company, you're supporting it. And then you don't have to like stand in this line of chaos either. You know,
I'm all for that.
I've seen it. I've been places, you know, the larger coffee vendors, and it's chaotic. It's chaos. And you're like, oh my gosh. And then, but I could see you actually working and saying, oh, I know why I'm waiting. There's two of them and they're working their butts off. And she just got.
And we may be a little chaotic at times. There might be an elbow to a drink and it goes flying. And
it's different than, you know, the chaos of other people complaining and making comments and things like that. So there's like a healthy versus like, oh my gosh, I don't ever want to come back here again. So, I think that all matters. But Jess just wanted to tell you that she's so
hi Jess. Thanks,
you so much for watching, Jess. She's such a beautiful person inside and out. So I love Jess supporting you. But also I just wanted to know, and other people want to know as well, is, you know, we all want, you know, good quality and consistency in the things that we go, because sometimes it's just frustrating. Like you get something, you're like, why does it always taste different every time? Or why is it made this way? And then next time I go get it, it's made differently. So how do you ensure quality and consistency in your coffee and other beverages and food items that you serve?
Yeah, that's a good one. In my opinion, I feel like a lot of places just miss the mark on just like the little things and not being hyper focused on quality and consistency. But I mean, it happens to all of us, right? We're humans. So like you said, you could have a heavy pour one day, or you could just be off, or someone modified something that you're trying to give them exactly what they want. But, taste is all subjective. But for us, like we're handcrafting each drink, and that also can cause, unfortunately, some inconsistency, so we're freshly brewing brewing some teas before we make the beverage, or timing, being out in the weather, like since we're mobile, even the customization, that can all be variables that can contribute to inconsistency. But for us, we're not striving for perfection, but rather like we're trying. Of course, we're not going for the mass-produced product. Chains do that, and they have, their pumps that they're, checking in on. I know some chains recalibrate like their pumps even like every week or 2 weeks. They have timers on their pumps that as you pour it, it stops on itself. So those things we don't really have access to. So we might pull a longer shot on a drink, or you might get a little extra caramel, which to most people probably wouldn't be a bad thing, but it could change just a little. Or even, I know for me, even when I'm at places like mom and pop restaurants, I really talk something up in my head, and I'm like, and then I go back and I'm like, man, I talked this thing up for 6 months, and it tasted a little different. And so that can be just subjective, and just like our perception on things.
Right.
I feel like when we talked before too, you had an experience where the woman, I think, gave you exactly kind of like what you want, and that stuck out to you. And it could have tasted differently, but to you, it was just in that moment that you're like, oh, that hit the spot. So we're striving for that. We're striving to give this handcrafted drink and really relying on our products to shine. And that's why we put a lot of emphasis on what we order and where we're even purchasing from, because good quality, when you start with good quality, it's kind of harder to mess up. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're starting with lower quality and trying to add all these ingredients and stuff, then it can really become inconsistent and not efficient.
Right.
So yeah, we look at it more as an art. Let's make this up. And if someone wants to add a little extra sweetness, the extra sweetness might even change from time to time. But we're really trying to just give the best product to what they're choosing.
Absolutely. So when you say handcrafted, what does that mean?
So I would say just like skills from your hands. Like, you think of artist or a potter that's shaping something. They're taking the time to put the care behind and the intention behind what they're creating. So when we handcraft drinks, we're taking the time to think about flavors and what flavor notes are going to play off of each other. And, sometimes we're even shocked, like pairing 2 flavors together might come out to be insanely good or insanely bad, I guess. So when we're creating our menus, like we're trying to keep that in mind, that it's more of not just like pairing something together that competitors do or big chains do, but hey, I ate this food and I was in a tropical place, and that I feel like in a drink, certain flavors would pair well together. So I feel like it's just taking the step to be kind of intentional with what you are creating.
And what it makes me think of is when I see like on different social media platforms where a customer will create a flavor and then go to like shop and say, can you do this? And then it may go into like a viral type of flavor or something like that because they actually handcraft it. And what I love about it is the difference between like what I spoke about earlier is that it's not pre-made. So you are handcrafting it and you are able to add an extra drizzle or, something different than if it was just like on an assembly line. So again, it just goes back to the experience. It goes back to the intimacy of knowing your customers and, hearing their voice and understanding their demand and what they like and different things like that. And then the other thing I think we as customers also have to realize when you're mobile and you live in an area where some products aren't as fresh as like they would be on the West Coast. So we have to we have our own limitations based on the resources around where we live at. So,
Right.
larger corporations, they can get them shipped there. They can get them flown there. So you also have to take that in consideration when you're dealing with, a mobile local business, that the resources that we have or ingredients are based on how quickly you can get them, or how they're around you, especially if you
Very
want to.
true.
So it makes me also think, like, we're in Pennsylvania. I don't know what fruit is growing in Pennsylvania. So we are at the mercy of, getting them transported to us, again, mailed to us. So I really commend you with staying on top of that in regards to ingredients and fresh ingredients, because again, we're not in a state or a location where these are easily accessible either.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you again for doing
No,
that, trying to give us
of course.
best experience when it comes to our coffee, tea, and other beverages and food items. So you do your best at doing that. But share with us some of the challenges you face in running a mobile coffee business and how you've overcome them.
So I think for most businesses too, they would agree that, time and finances are two things that you have to constantly manage. So while I've helped other businesses to start and grow, I've never truly opened a Napa Valley Bloom and Brew company, right? So there was a constant challenge or learning curve to it. But I think you just got to kind of go with it and want to tackle, if you don't want to do certain things or you're not accustomed to it. Like I didn't want to do social media, but I was like, okay, well, I got to do it. So in the future, then you can look for ways of bringing on team members to help you in the areas that you don't want to. And that ultimately will help you grow in a more efficient way. But yeah, learning, the time of things, the schedule, like me and my fiance have a lot of responsibilities and we really care about putting certain things into our schedule, including family. So that can get challenging and that can feel at the end of the week, we have this schedule that we're always trying to stick to. And then, you got to manage your finances. You got to manage budgeting. You got to manage your inventory and things like that. So there's always challenges that arise. And then there's, the things that aren't so motivational, like, you can dream up a cafe and all the pretty fixtures and you're going to have cute glasses, but I don't look into axles on my trailer and electrical stuff. Like that's not fun. So there's a constant, battle of topics that aren't necessarily, motivational to keep you going, but you come to them and you've got to make decisions. So if you can kind of just make the decisions and kind of keep going, I've found that it's a little easier to get by or overcome them.
Yeah. And I love that when you were talking about, you're thinking about tires and axles and how to keep the things cool and keep them hot, because you don't have a building, that you have these things accessible to you. So I know that was probably a challenge. And then also you're looking for these, and also too, you doing it, and not to put it on gender, but sometimes as women, we don't know a lot of that. And so we get educated as the need arises. So, it's sometimes it's foreign for us when we're looking at some of those things. So, the best value for it, sometimes, you can be taken advantage of because you may not know, but I just really commend you again as educating yourself to make sure that your business is operating as smoothly and as consistency as possible for your locations and your customers. Because if someone's saying, I'm going to go Wednesday morning to get my coffee in Napa Valley, and then the tire blew out, or right. And, these are other factors that we're not thinking about as well. Sometimes when you don't see your favorite mobile vendor, those are some of the reasons.
Yeah, the reality.
Yeah,
that's honestly why I kind of, even through the winter, it was so hard for me to plan our schedule in advance. People were like, oh, what are you going to work next week? And I'm like, I had to say, I don't know, because I hate to say I'll be there and I won't.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create my schedule in an advance notice as much as possible, but also be realistic about it. If temperatures were way too low, I couldn't pull a good shot with my espresso machine. Our generator was pulling more power because our appliances were running way more to try to stay to temperature. So that meant then my heater in my trailer wasn't working. So that added an extra level of exhaustion when you're cold all day long in 30-degree temperatures. And then we were testing our product so often to make sure, even your beans and how they're grinded matter. So yeah, winter was definitely a challenge.
Yeah. And not only just that, it's like there could be a storm that you didn't know was coming. So now it's not there. I understand people do that, but there are some of those people that get out in the storm and go and do whatever they need to do. And then they're like, well, if I can do it, then you can do it. Well, everybody doesn't have the same privilege or the same, resources to be able to do that. But again, it's not you just getting in your car, going to a building, getting out of your car and going to a desk. It's you pulling a trailer that may have not been cleaned off yet. Right. And all these other elements. So again, these aren't thoughts that I would have ever had if I didn't have the conversation with you, because I never had to think about it. It's like, oh, the truck is there. Oh, I see. But you're not thinking about the elements, the other factors that could possibly cause it to be delayed or canceled for that day. So again, this collaboration is really giving us such an insight on how you operate as a business, but also how you operate against elements that you don't be able to control. So if you're just now joining in to Chats with Chantla, I'm Chantla Israel. I'm the host, and I have the amazing Alexandra Piccolomini, and she's the owner of Nipa Valley Bloom and Brew Company. And we were talking about her having a mobile coffee truck that serves more than coffee, but just some of the challenges, some of the successes, how she manages it, how it got started. So if you just now joined in, make sure you hit the replay button and you go back to the beginning and you hear her amazing story, because it's going to motivate you and inspire you as well. But again, Alex, thank you so much for joining. And I'm so great that we're having this conversation and getting, clarity on some of the things that you do as an entrepreneur. So the next question I have is, can you tell us about any unique events or locations you were able to operate your mobile coffee truck at?
Yeah, so we definitely have loved our private events that we've done, just to create an exclusive menu for people, have their names a part of the drink items. Has been really fun. We've done even collaborations with businesses where we cross promote each other and we're supporting each other, and then that gives this level of a fun element to it, right? We're meeting their clientele, they're meeting our guests, and we can kind of put on events and give more experiences to our community that we might have been lacking. I am excited. We're going to be doing some stuff with Penn State coming up, and then also some other businesses. So we're excited about those. Even some collaborations with products, people and businesses wanting to put our product on their shelves. So yeah, we have some exciting stuff coming up, and we definitely have enjoyed people reaching out to us for their events. Like I said, we love personal events like weddings and showers and baby showers and things like that we can kind of customize and, make even labels for our hot sleeves, to kind of give it an extra layer of, hey, this is exclusive, this is to you, and you're elevating your party, and you're not just getting drinks served, right? So yeah, we're excited for some stuff coming up. So definitely stay tuned.
That she can't wait to try, because she's going to be back in the area. When she's back in the area, thank you so much.
I haven't seen her in so long. Hi, Jai.
She's like, I can't wait to try. So that's super duper exciting. But what you made me think about, have you ever taken recommendations for menu items from customers?
Oh, yes. Like we have a drink right now, pair M together. So we have a guest, Emma. So that was kind of a honor to her. We were like playing around and she's like, oh, I like this, blah, blah, blah. We've also, even when we work with businesses, like one of my questions is to them, hey, what flavors do you like? And then I put my own spin on it, right? I don't want to just create something that's necessarily a copy. Like I want to try to do something fun. So we've even played around with butterfly pea flower. If you've seen it, once it hits like an acid, it turns purple, but it starts as like an indigo blue. So things like that, we really do try. Even like we have the monkey business right now. So it's like a banana French toast kind of latte. And one of our regulars was like, oh, put some chocolate on that. So now we have the dirty banana. So it's just like, we like to make it fun. Like, and when they're like our regulars, they stand there and talk to us. And that's when we'll kind of like play back and forth. Like, hey, we have one guest, Miss Georgia, she loves amaretto. So we've added amaretto to so many drinks that I probably wouldn't have thought of, but she's like, oh, just add that in. So that is even came up with a few other drinks that we're like, oh, we got to, pay a little honor to Miss Georgia and add some amaretto in. But yeah, things like that we've definitely done. That it makes it definitely more fun, because then you're like, when you see them next and you're like, hey, I got a drink for you. Right. Like, it's kind of fun then too, that you're like excited for them to be excited that we're mentioning them or they're on the menu or something like that.
Yeah, I think that it's also like super exciting because I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mute you.
I was like, oh crap, I'm pushing something.
That was all on me. But I think also what makes it exciting is that you're a part of the business. Like, as a customer, you're a part of the business and you're listening. Like, you really are making relationships and you're building rapport with your customers. And that like really matters. And it goes a super long way.
Because we wouldn't be here without them, right? Like, if they don't come, like, I don't have anyone to like share a drink with. Like, we'll even, if people are waiting, we'll try to even give a shot of espresso out, and you do the like salute. Like, it's just a fun thing too, that if you don't have them, then you don't have a business, right? Like, we all need our coffee from somewhere, so you might as well come to NEPA
and have an experience. And possibly get a flavor or a drink named after you if you have the recommendation that it all works. But it's just really exciting that you pair with your customers. And also too, I think that it's just a great story to tell that, you went in for coffee and now you have a flavor or a drink made after you and named after you. But I just think it's sweet. And how also too is like, instead of just going to the event and you be like the vendor and everything is your merch, that you incorporate what's going on. So if it's, maybe a baby shower, that it might have a blue sleeve or something like that. It's just saying whatever the gender is, but how you just open up for your customers that are extending, service with you to be a part of their as well, more than just being a vendor that's providing a drink or a sandwich. But I just think that's it's commendable, because a lot of times when you go to larger businesses, they're not worried about that. They're like, we gave you the spot, we gave you the place, and this is all that you get. And so it limits the experience that you're actually having and the memories that you're creating. So you're creating memories with your customers every single time they come there. And I think that's great. So like, I can't imagine like being the person who goes and gets the coffee, because I've been that, like taking orders and you go there, you hope you get it right, and everybody's anticipating your return. So you're like the hero of the
right.
Oh, you went to NEPA's? Okay, this is wonderful. So again,
and we've even had some drinks that I will never put on the menu. Like, we were laughing with a customer the other day, and he's became a friend. Like, him and his girlfriend, they come all the time. But the first time he came, he was like, oh, put some dragon fruit in my latte. And I was like, are you sure? And he left, and me and Tyler is like, oh my goodness. We both looked at each other like, he's not coming back. There's no way he enjoyed that. But he comes back all the time, and now we hang out, and now we like call them both friends. Like, but it's those kind of things too that you can laugh about, and you're like, I didn't recommend that one. I'm not putting that one on the menu. I'm not gonna put that else through that.
But you got a friendship out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
As we are winding down this conversation, I wanted to ask one other question: is how do you stay up to date on the industry trends and adapt your offerings on what your menu and things like that accordingly to that, to stay, on top of things?
Yeah, so I definitely feel, I definitely look towards places I've either vacationed in the past, or I'm planning on going to, or even some food, like in desserts. Like, I'll think about, like, especially for our holiday menu, like I was really thinking about like desserts that pair well together, or flavor notes that you can kind of pair well together. And that also helps, right? Or I'll look at cocktails that like pair well together and be like, okay, let's make this into like our new mocktail spritzer. So I really tend to look for that. I also look to other countries and outside of our community. I don't want to copy. I don't want to try to be someone I'm not. So if I look to something else, I'm really trying to put, it's non-negotiable. I'm really trying to put my spin on it. And even, Tyler, like, he even helps me, like, hey, like, think a little harder. Or he makes some great drinks. So he might not be choosing them as the go-to beverage that he wants to, but, we try to take in consideration flavor, sweetness levels of our guest. And then too, like, when you see other people, like, I feel like in business, especially, like, if you see other people copying you, you're ahead of the trend a little, right? So you can kind of take some confidence in that, and it's a little bit of flattery. But yeah, I would just recommend to even other business professionals, look outside of the community and try to bring something back to our area. And that's really why I started Nipa Valley. Me and my fiance, we wanted to bring something to our area that was different.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. The other thing too is, like, if somebody has done something, there's no harm in giving that person credit for it.
Right.
But even if you don't, like you said, just knowing that you know that and you're kind of ahead of the game. And
mostly everything's been done, right? Like, especially in the drink and beverage world, like our food world, like a lot of things have already been done. So yeah, like you said, just giving credit where credit's due or looking elsewhere.
Absolutely. So Alex, how can our audience stay connected to you?
Yeah, so they can follow us for sure on Facebook or Instagram. But just even come by, like, we post on our socials, try to be frequently throughout the week or weekly with our schedule. We also, we have a lot of regulars that come to us even if we're at far locations. So, we encourage, if we're at a public event, just stop by. Like, we were at different businesses recently that, people can just walk up. They don't have to go through the whole event. If they don't want to, they can still get their coffee from us. So I would encourage people to just keep showing up. Like, if they want to try to, not to be scared if we're at an event that's public, to come to us still. But yeah, Facebook is probably the easiest for people to check our schedule. We're always updating on our homepage, our hours and our location. And that's probably the easiest place to even do a quick check if you're in town and be like, hey, are they by Lowe's today? That'll tell you right there.
And so that's
Yep.
Okay. And they're normally at the Lowe's and Chipotle parking lot.
Yes.
But one last question. What are some future aspirations that you have for Nipa Valley Bloom and Brew Company?
Oh, that's a loaded one. I go back and forth every day. I'm definitely a person that likes to plan. So that's been a challenge to, how do you know which way to go with it? Or so I definitely see different roads going in the future. But I've really been just trying to tell myself to just look at every opportunity as a blessing, and you don't know what's to come of that. I've done a lot of recent networking events even that are just such an amazing experience, meeting like-minded people and calling people, like, you can see now lifelong friends out of these people. So whether it's your business aspirations or whether it's just even like personal, we don't necessarily know the future. And I'm just trying to stay open-minded to whether a brick and mortar is in the future or more trailers or different locations. I'm just trying to stay open to it. And as hopefully the opportunities come to us, then we can decide the best course for ourselves personally even.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Alex, for joining me on this episode of Chats with Chantla. I learned so much, and I appreciate you giving us a little glimpse on what it's like and insight to operate a mobile coffee truck and to understand your journey. It was such a special moment to share with you. This collaboration means a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So again, we're going to be on Chats with Chantla, another episode next Monday at 7. But again, Alex, thank you so much. So make sure you hit replay and check out Alex's story if you just got done tuning in or you're just now tuning in. just make sure you hit replay on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn and get the full story. Thanks so much for joining us on another episode of Chats with Chantla. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks for watching another episode of Chats with Chantla. See you next time.